Hello there, good morning and welcome to Superscreen News R10, broadcasting to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. I am Blessed Omonese. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the nation's service chiefs and other heads of security agencies. The meeting, which was held inside the president's office at the Presidential Villa Abuja, was the third one this week. The president had earlier met with the service chiefs on Monday, after which the Inspector General of Police, IGP Ibrahim Idris, and the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS Lawal Daura, proceeded to meet with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF Abubakar Malami. President Buhari also met with the security chiefs on Tuesday, during which the Minister of Defense, Major General Mansur Dan Ali, retired, suggested the suspension of anti-grazing law in the state of Ekiti, Benue and Taraba in order to check the killings said to be perpetrated by herders. The Senate has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to mandate the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to declare the result of the June 12, 1993 presidential election believed to have been won by late MKO Abiola. This followed a point of order raised by Senator representing Ekiti South, Abiodun Olujimi, where she also said all due entitlement be recognized and accorded to the winner and family of the June 12 presidential election, which was unanimously agreed by the House.
President Muhammadu Buhari has shown clearly what a democrat he is. There is no history that could link 29th of May to actual democratic evolution of Nigeria better than June 12. That day, June 12, was a very important day in the history of the political evolution of Nigeria. The significance, Mr. President, for the first time, Nigerians elected candidates based on the quality of the candidates only, by not looking at their religious persuasion, their ethnic backgrounds. This is what Nigeria should be.
The results of that election was never announced. This is the time for the results to be properly announced by INEC, because government is a continuum, and declare President MKO Abiola as a president. Mr. President, if and when that is done, there has to be reparation of all his entitlements.
My angle to this is the honor that was also bestowed on late Gani Fawemi, who was from my state and also my constituent. Everybody knew how greatly this man fought for democracy in this country. And for Mr. President to recognize him along with the winner of that election and his vice made those of us who come from Ondo State very, very happy.
There may have to be an amendment of the Constitution. I also want to add that it will also be necessary for the executive to quickly bring to the National Assembly an amendment to the act that for the Honors Act, so because it says that there cannot be any posthumous award. Now that they have jumped the gun to do posthumous awards, it will be necessary for us to quickly amend that act.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu also called for a constitution amendment to accommodate June 12 as a new democracy day.
I support the proposal of Senator Olujimi that the results of that election need to be declared, because it's the main perception that they won the election. INEC has to announce the results for us to know the figures, and let it be on record that Abiola was president and that Kingibe was vice president. It is good for us to have that record. But having said this, finally, Mr. President, there are two legal issues involved. The 9th of May remains the day the president will be inaugurated and he will take his oath of office. If you are moving from 29th of May to 12th of June, it means we have to amend this constitution. Otherwise, we'll be extending the tenure of a president beyond what the constitution contemplates. So we have to advise the president properly so that we don't get into a jam when we get to next year. So it is important at this point we put in true perspective that the issue of the tenure of office of the president is from the 29th of May 2015 to 29th of May 2019.
Chief M.K. Abiola, his contributions, what he had been through, his revelations for many years, it was long overdue. The good intention, I think, is what we should recognize. There might be imperfection in how it was implemented, but let us, for today, take the good intention. Whether the award is right in process, to constitutional amendment, to recognition of Ambassador Banagana Kingibe as his position as Vice President, the process of making June 12 a public holiday. In the spirit of all those imperfections, we should not allow that to cloud the fact that Chief MK, and let's just leave it as the fact of what Chief MK will represent to all of us.
You will recall that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has directed that the nation's Democracy Day would henceforth hold June the 12th. Still in the Senate has confirmed the appointment of Justice Abdul Kafarati as the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, in accordance with the provision of Section 250, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The confirmation follows the adoption of a report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters. Representing the report, Chairman of the committee, David Umaru, said the committee screened the nominee to assent his stability for the appointment. Umaru added that the committee was satisfied with the nominee's exposure, experience and performance, as well as qualification, and recommended him for confirmation. Moving on now, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Ibrahim Idris, has asked the Federal High Court in Abuja to quash the Senate's May 9, 2018, declaring him as enemy of democracy and unfit to hold public office within and outside Nigeria. Idris confirmed the process of suing the Senate and its President, Bukola Saraki, by obtaining the court's leave and the order permitting him to file a substantive action for a judicial review of the actions leading to the resolution passed by the Red Chamber. Justice John Tusho, in granting the leave to Idris, said he is convinced that the applicant has shown sufficient interest in the issues raised. The judge granted the leave shortly after the IGP's lawyer, Alex Ezinyon-San, moved a formal application in the respect on Thursday. An ad hoc committee headed by the Chairman Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, David Umaru, has been set to investigate the veracity of the reports made by Amnesty International on the plight of women. The Amnesty International had alleged in its report that the military raped, tortured and abused women in the internally displaced persons camps, IDP. The resolution was reached during a plenary after Senator Shehu Sani raised a point of order. Sani asked the Senate to open an investigation into the report, which he says has the capacity to undermine Nigerian integrity and its fight against terrorism.
A report by Amnesty International is not just a report that we should dismiss as a report by either the opposition or any partisan political group. It's a report that is taken very seriously by international organizations and especially the United Nations. If this report finds itself on the table of world leaders, it is a report of ourselves. And then what have we done about it? Simply to issue a 2-paragraph statement and said it never happened, or the amnesty is working to undermine our government, or simply the amnesty is another arm of the opposition of this country? I think we are not getting it right. This report, for which I will offer to request that amnesty present or make it available for every senator here to see, contains all that we need to ask questions. Ask questions on how this war is being prosecuted. As a country that is faced with an insurgency that is undermining our peace, our unity, our stability as a country, we have a duty to appreciate the sacrifices of men and women from the armed forces and other security agencies that are making the ultimate sacrifice of giving up their lives in order for us to be in peace.
They are to report the outcome of the findings to the House on a later date. The Controller General of the Nigerian Prison Service, NPS, Jafaru Ahmed, says 55 of the 210 inmates that escaped at the Minna New Prison have been recaptured. Ahmed disclosed this in Abuja during an emergency meeting with top officials of the service on security breach in Minna Prison. He said report of the investigation into the attack in the prison is being awaited. You will recall that a known gunman had stormed the facility last Sunday, overpowered the personnel and released 210 inmates. The gunman also shot and killed a prison officer that was resuming duty and the motorcyclist that conveyed him. When Superscreen News at 10 returns, we bring you business news after this break. Stay with us.
Before they come, they're supposed to, give us some information, notice, at least maybe a week or so. There was nothing like that.
Hunger is everywhere in Nigeria. People are dying every day, but Nigerian government are keeping quiet. Herdsmen are killing people. Why?
It's not what we expected because of these old men that are leading us, and you people know, you are aware that these people are not the right people to lead us. These kind of people that are leading us here are people of black mind. They just care about themselves and their family.
You are affecting my village. Let me use if I call it useless, I'm not a mistake. The other place where they build a shop, call it plaza. Each shop got 4 million naira. So I don't have the money, so I have to leave. If you plan to get a tribal mark, it takes a lot of pain, but after some time, you enjoy it. No, we experience hold up now during the construction time. Then after some time, we start enjoying it.
The way they are doing the construction is too slow. It's too slow. The construction is too slow. They should stop the construction and make sure people go into their businesses and do their businesses.
Glad to have you back and now to the world of business. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it may conduct bi-weekly bidding sections for the sale of Chinese currency to authorized dealers. You will recall that the CBN in May signed an agreement with the PBOC to facilitate trade between the two countries and enhance foreign reserve management. The PBOC-CBN bilateral currency swap agreement will allow the two countries to swap a total of 15 billion renminbi for 720 billion naira or vice versa in the next 3 years, but the deal can be extended by mutual consent. According to CBN, the currency swap will also be used to maintain financial market stability and for other purposes that both parties may agree upon. Still in business, the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development says $652 million have been estimated to reactivate equipment and machines at the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. Minister of State Abubakar Bari, who disclosed these to journalists in Abuja, said the estimated amount is part of recommendations contained in the technical audit report presented to him. You will recall that the federal government had set up the technical audit to find out how much was required to complete the steel plant. Bari said following completion of the work by technical audit, the next line of action is for the ministry to appoint transaction advisors to advise the federal government on the best strategy to adopt regarding the operation of the steel plants. He commended the Nigerian Society of Engineers for recommending capable engineers that conducted the technical audits. And finally, on business, the African Development Bank, AFDB, have launched a program aimed at preparing 9 million Africans, including Nigerians, for high-paying employment. The program, known as Coding for Employment, was launched at the African Innovation Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. The partners in the program are Rockefeller Foundation, Microsoft, and Facebook. The bank said the new program prepares African youth for tomorrow's job and unleashes the next generation of young digital innovators from the continent. By 2025, the Jobs for Youth in Africa initiative will equip 50 million youth with employable skills and create 25 million jobs in agriculture, information and communication technology, and other key industries across Africa. If you're just joining us, this is Superscreen News at 10. We'll take another short break, and when we return, we'll bring you foreign and sport news in just a moment. Stay with us.